Machmas a gewisse Sibbe will ich reden in Sfas HaMedina, a certain matter which I think it's important to speak in Sfas HaMedina. We're just standing a few days, Mamish, Samach V'nideh, to Chavches Nissen, Koyach Nissen, Chavzai Nissen, which the Rebbe referred to it as Sicha Yedua, Hareizuta Nasi B'Sicha Yedua, a Sicha which Vayanu Amois Asipim V'abayis Yimola Yosham, when we heard that Sicha that doesn't let us rest, and 27 years later that Sicha still, it's not a Sicha that we can read and close the Sefer and go to sleep. Allah has come v'kam, if we're standing the Hemshech Hayom and Behemshech the Chavches Nissen, the Rebbe went through B'Reiv Rachma V'Achsadav. The Rebbe spoke about Chavzai Nissen, Chavches Nissen, Chavtes Nissen, Lamed Nissen, Aleph Iyar, and Beis Iyar of the Chatchila Ribber, as a Hemshech of Yomim Zakyim and Zakoyin, as man Zakai B'Negei L'Gula. And the Kesher of Beis Iyar to the Inin HaGeula, why it's as man connected with Geula, because it's man of the Chatchila Ribber, where all the Inyanim are done in Eifon of Ribber, which are Ribber, the true Ribber, and the only Ribber, and the Shleimus of Ribber. We have only one real Ribber, which is the Inin of Gula Mitzvah Shleima. And the Chatchila Ribber means, I was instead of thinking with a Golas digger cup, with a Golas mentality, with Golas eyes, or Golas glasses, or Golas bifocals, or Golas contact lenses, Kachol Hashemes Hashikru, and a Golas digger cup, and Golas digger hand and feast, and a Golas attitude, and a Golas mentality. It's about time, L'chatchila Ribber, we start thinking Gula, Poiling Gula, Studim Gula, and Lachas Kama V'Kama, that the Indian that Mashiach shouldn't come Balayla Zez, Rachmana Litzlan, Mufrach, and Mufrach B'Tachlis. I don't want to be Meidech when I get to the Sicha, because the Dover Bar, certainly people have learned the Sicha and will learn it again and learn it again and again and again. As the Rebbe said, mit Vedem Asmidim et es Chazerin. The Rebbe said, Vedem Asmidim Chazerin, not as a positive thing. But there's a positive aspect that we have to remember, the Koil of Elias Nishmas, Bazneinu Tamid, the Rebbe wrote that we should always hear the Koil of the Friedig Rebbe that says, Erev Shabbos Nachatzos, that it's so late, it's already time for the Gula. We have to remember this all the time. Allah has come v'kama, we have to remember all the time and not lose focus and not lose track that we're riding on the plane, on the train, on the car, on the wagon, towards Gula, Mitzvah Shleima, al Safa Gula. And yet for some reason, Gula's things still come to our mind. And we can't have a taina, we're born and bred in Gula, so we think with Gula's mentality. We think if it is going to be good sushi on the table, if there's going to be not such good sushi, we think whether this maimer has pinuch lahavdil, if the maimer we have is with pinuchim or without pinuchim, if today's davening was a great davening, or the Krish Shalamita was gewaldig. These are all Yonim Gdelus and Eflois, minus the sushi thing. But Afat Piken has nothing to do with the Kavana, Amitis, Vayechida, Vayikris, Gula, Amitis, Vashleima. And somehow we get comfortable in Golus, and so comfortable that we build ourselves in Golus mechanisms how to survive in Golus and survive as a religious Jew, as a Haredi Jew, as a Shomer Torah Mitzvahs, as a Lubavitcher. In Lubavitch Gufa, there's many standards we can have within Lubavitch, so we pick and choose the standard that suits us in Zman HaGolus, like a real true Golus Yid, which is Mahadrin, Mina Mahadrin in Golus. Al derech dugma, and I don't mean this in any sharp way, but I mean it much more than what I'm saying. Al derech a Pesach hotel. So you can be in a Pesach hotel, which Pesach is in of Zmanched Yisenu, and in the Pesach hotel you can have Daf Yomi and Chassidus and coaching and no gebrocks and everything is peeled, and entertainment and kosher entertainment and not so kosher entertainment, kechol oil al ruchenu. And b'yachidim zeh, you could even say that you celebrated this mana geula and remembered l'man tizker es yeim tzeischa meretz Mitzrayim kol yemecha echa befrat b'chedish nissen nigelu she'asidin ligoil in the most mahadrim and a mahadrim fashion in the Pesach Hotel. So living in Golus, we get used and accustomed to Golus, and we start thinking this is the true reality, and we'll try to accommodate ourselves in Golus. There was a Yechidus. There was a Maisa that happened many years ago. There was a group of Bachrim that were upset that one of the Mashpim in the yeshiva over here in 770, Olav Hasholem, that did something that they believe was not Kefir Ratzon. And not only was not Kefir Ratzon, was something that really was great in the opposite of Nachas Ruch to the Rebbe, to the extent that the Rebbe removed his Messias from Yeshiv Merkez HaYeshivas Terchatmim Lubavitch. And by Yidin Bechlal and Chassidim Befrat and Tmimim Befrati Pratius, and such special Tmimim, if the Rebbe removes his Messias from the Yeshivas, that's a thing which reaches at Tzipar HaNefesh. So they were very, very upset, and they decided they're going to be Mekayim Psak, even though they were Bachrim in the Yeshiva and he was a member of the Anola. Maybe not even though, maybe because he was a member of the Anola, they decided they're going to be Mekayim Psak in him in a Eifim, which is not exactly Masam al Pishuch Narech. Pratim Meleim B'Marechet. And this particular individual, this Mashpia, was very concerned what the Bachrim are going to do to him. So, like we know about Yoav ben Seruya, that he ran and he knew that Mizbeach Koilet. So he ran and he knew that by the Rebbe that's going to be the Iyar Miklat and he's going to be able to protect himself. The Pratim are not negay over here. Al Kolpanim, the Rebbe called them in for Yechidus. This group of Bachrim that were involved, they had such a gewaldige schus that they had a Yechidus without any hachana whatsoever. The Rebbe called them in immediately. And the Rebbe gave a chelik to this group of Bachrim, and amongst them some of them that are dying b'chaim chayusim al-madin. And the Rebbe told them not about this particular inyan that they were going to do, but instead the Rebbe gave them a chelik about how Yitachin they're reading newspapers. Because how did they know about this particular mashpia, what he did and what he caused should be done, and why the Rebbe took of his nasias? Because they read it in a particular newspaper. And the Rebbe then said, amongst those Bachrim with such great Baalei Moichin, they were able after the Yechidus to write down the Yechidus. So that's why we have this Yechidus. Such a meridig ability to contain the Eidos D'Tayu and to Kelim the Tikkun. And the Rebbe said, Azamin Yored Yeradnu. Such a tremendous descent that Bachrim and Terchatmim are reading Zeitung and newspapers. I don't have in front of me the particular Yechidus, but they were very, very sharp faces about the idea that Bachrim are reading newspapers. And the Rebbe said they're reading newspapers because they want to know news about Lubavitch. Lubavitch News Service. This is the Lubavitch News. And the Rebbe did not accept, of course, that justification. And the Rebbe told them, the Shainis, like, you have no shaykhs over here. Again, I don't want to say the Lashon because I don't have it in front of me. The Rishim of the Yechidus that was written B'tchilu Rechima right after the Yechidus. Mistama, the writing of the Yechidus was also with a gartel. So I don't have it in front of me, but the Rebbe said expressions as though this is out of the pale of Bachar that reads newspapers. So there's a klipa chadasha that we don't read newspapers, chas v'sholem, because anyhow, today's day and age, you don't have to read the newspapers, it's all online. When the Rebbe spoke about television, the Rebbe gave ha'agdara that television that plays was Darten Zet mit Azel Chazachim, was steht nicht in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So if anybody has a suffix, if this is together, this strong sichas about television that pirtzi g'dayla shein kemoya, or that such bachim, the Rebbe said of Azachel bachim v'Mashiach nishkenen zagen ru'u gidulim shegidalti. Mashiach, the Rebbe, has raised gidulim, has raised talmidat mimim, And it seems as though, till the Sechidus, we didn't know that the Rebbe is going to come, Lasad Love is going to point to all Talmidah Atmimim and say, Ru Gidulum Shegidalti, minus those that at the time, not because of what they were going to do to this Mashpia, that read newspapers. So how do you know if maybe online is not to get the newspaper? If you schreiben a ganz ha'ara of them, maybe it only is called a newspaper if it's in print. It's a davar shebetfus. L'deida deidis. So the Rebbe's Hagdara of what the gather of newspapers or television is as dort zelt mit azelche Sachen, was steht nicht in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. There's a tremendous clip, and this has nothing to do with Chatchila Ariba, this is Arunter, Sheba Arunter, that there are websites, we'll say it bishmam, when you talk about halach, you have to say Torah, and not loy Torah, but Torah and Tomei. Tomei websites that are Pasha Tomei, and they write Kechol Oila Al-Ruchem in Yonim of Klippes Nege Mandchar Shmei, of Sholosh Klippes Atmeis, or B'Sheim Lubavitch Yichuna. They call themselves Lubavitch, they report on Lubavitch News. Their Tomei, Mishukitz, and Misuv, and Menuvel have no shaykhs with the Rebbe, have no shaykhs with Lakus. And not only no shaykhs, but reading such kind of websites makes a person nisrachik from Geula, Mitzvah Vashlema, and from the Rebbe, and from Chassidus, kimetach harche, kimetach veikeshes as far as possible. Ad heichen advorim magim, as beyond Machir Chayim, and why am I talking about this over here in 770, by a Fabregel Chatchila Ribir, was it durchgegangen a paar Tage, a few days passed, und sie nicht da, viele kan keila neus chalusha, nobody is talking about this. They will mefarsim on one of these goyish, schmutzige, dirty websites, that is going to be an event that tomorrow night, if anybody wants to attend college, Rachmanu litzlan hoy leisia, you don't have to go far. 18 minutes walk from 770. You can go Rachmanu litzlan to college. You can daven in 770 and put on a Benu Tam Tefillin, and then you can walk to college if you want to get a BA or all other Inyana Mechuorim Rachmanu litzlan. The Rebbe Shrai Sichas Charifas v'chulu v'chulu, sharp Sichas about the Chaymerin of university and college, and here people that call themselves B'Shem Chabad, and they report on Chabad, and the reporting, yeah, you can go to college. And if you learned in yeshiva, it's only a mile, because you could use the credits of what you learned in yeshiva to help you go to college. Und it's still, and nobody talks about it. Besides, we're living in Yemesa Mashiach, we're living in fantasy world, and in Yemesa Mashiach is nice hafachim. You could also have Golus and Geula, Bevas Aches, you could also have college and Alakus, and it goes together. And this is not Rachmanu litzlan in today's day and age. You're not allowed to judge anyone, and that's part of these schmutzige websites, that they're very into tolerance and not judging people. And the Rebbe was a big guy of Yisrael, ki yidua, and we have to be malamet chusim people. This is not a matter of a judgment call. There is any individual or yachid that goes to college, nobody's judging him. Maybe he's supposed to go to college. Ki yidua, the bells of Rav Shalom, used to see someone driving on Shabbos, he used to give a krecht and say a kapitel tilim, because that means that someone else has to go to the hospital. So the bells of Rav, when he saw people driving on Shabbos, Mastama, it means you have to go to the hospital. Mastama, if someone is going to college, is a Mastama ruch shtus. It's not his fault. Yisrayonsai. And it could even be maybe b'mikrim yichodim v'yetzim naklal, which a yetzim naklal often becomes the klal. There are people that the Rebbe wants them dafka to get a degree, v'chulu v'chulu. But ala klal kulay to be mefarsin l'chol oilim kulay, and to write this in Grace in Amsterdam Oasis in big letters to be mefarsin, is going to be an event in Crown Heights, in a shul in Crown Heights, which happens to be called b'shem Sefer Shol Beinanim, that in this shul we're going to have an open house with the president of the college to tell people who want to go to college. We're continuing to learn Nigla and Chassidus, and we're davening, and life goes on as normal as it goes on in Yemesa Mashiach. I personally feel remiss that such a thing should not be mentioned. It's a davar mavel b'yeser, and what's even more mavel is not that going to college, is reading those websites, looking in such places that encourage such kind of behaviors. Rachmanu litzlan, these places are tomei, Tes Mem Aleph, not Tes Mem Aleph. I come, it's unter the Tes. Mit der Zeide unter the Mem, Tom make it pshute. It's not loiter, they're Tom me mamish. Places that encourage us to do Hebech of the Rebbe's Ratzon. We're not allowed to look there. If I say in Yiddish, Metorish Dorten cooking, it sounds like a Psamilsa de Chasidusa. It's not Metorish Dorten cooking. We are not permitted to look there in English. It is forbidden to go to such websites. They encourage things that are against Torah, against Yiddishkeit. Alachas kam v'kam against Chassidus, Alachas kam v'kam against the Rebbe, Alachas kam v'kam against Gula Amitis v'Ashlema. V'hi ratzon that those that are going to make money of this, the Eibusha should help them, they should make money in some other fashion. V'yar aleim ruach mimarem, v'yitamu chatoim v'loi chaytim and aldu tshuva shlema, and together we will all go to the Gula Amitis v'Ashlema. Because Sof Kol Sof, the only thing that we need right now is such a cheshach hagolus be'efen mavel. Ikvesid Meshicha, Bas, Kama, Be'ima, Kala, Bechamoisa. Everybody does whatever they want. Kepiskim, how you do in today's day and age, everything goes. That is part of the cheshach hagolus. So while we're living in the massive that the Rebbe says that it's Yemoisa Mashiach Bepashtus, and all we have to do is open our eyes, we see that it's Gula Amitis Vashlema. The Rebbe says at the same time that it's with Tif and Golus, Va'at, there's a Goydel Hatzar Va'avahola. There's a tremendous pain and tremendous Havahola, tremendous Shturim that concerns us about the Cheshach HaGolus. Al the Rebbe to help from Al Chatchila Ribber, we should raise ourselves from all limitations of Golus and not worry about Tachlis and not worry about any of these other things, because all we have is Ein Lanu Ella Havaya Echad. We have the Rebbe's Torah. We have the Rebbe, we have Eibishter, we have Alakus, and we have Chassidus. And if we learn the Rebbe's Torah, Befrat, Ma'amorim Velekuteh Sicha Shel Nasidah Reinu, Befrat, if you learn about Gula Amitis Ashlema, you live in a different mentality, you live in a different mindset. You think Gula, you live Gula, you breathe Gula, you want Gula, and then your aim is not to get a degree, Rahman al-Islam. By the way, the Rebbe once said about the Al Rabbanim, alle rabbis, v'sobenish can degree tov aleim bracha. So for those that are looking for shlisel chalas gulas, so we have a sgula that the Rebbe gives, that those who don't have a degree, they get a special bracha from the Rebbe. Tov aleim bracha. Al kolpanim, if we don't have to worry about any of these inyanim of shleimus, not in degree, and not even in shleimus rachman, even in inyanim of digla Torah and pnimis Torah. The ultimate shleimus is to be mekayim the ratzon of the Rebbe and to bring about Gula Amitis Vashlema. V'hi ratzon sollen sich gefinnen, zen, sollen sich einakshnen, v'chulu, like the Rebbe says in the Sikha, and we should have, be zeicha, sich zen, mit dem Rebbe, mit Chatchila, Rebbe, mit euch simche, v'tuv leivav l'chaim.